الحمد لله رب العالمين بسم الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك الحق المبين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد ولد آدم أجمعين صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. The last part of the chapter in the fact or the matter of Eemaan increasing and decreasing is we wanted to speak about who are the Murji'at ul-Fuqaha. As we know, we were speaking about irja and the meaning of it. So we ask questions again to our brothers. What is the intent when a person hears the word irja? What is intended by irja? When did it appear? The innovation of irja. What is its categories? And what does the ulama say about the group of irja called the Murji'at? And why was Eemaan al-Albani, as you'll find that a lot of people, of those from desires, accused the great Imam al-Albani, Muhammad Nasruddin al-Albani, of irja. And also likewise, we want to answer the question, who are the Murji'at al-Fuqaha? Murji'at al-Fuqaha. Murji'at al-Fuqaha meaning those scholars of jurisprudence in the past who fell into a type of irja or fell into irja. So the first thing we want to speak about is when did it manifest? أول ما ظهرت بدعة الإرجاء بعد فتنة ابن الأشعث. That the first of when this bid'ah or this innovation of irja, when it manifests or when it came to light, after the fitna of Ibn Ash'ath. Ibn Ash'ath fell into the fitna of fighting the Mubir, in which Ahl-Sunnah know him to be, who is what everyone? Who is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, سَيَخْرُجُ مِنْ ثَقِيفٍ كَذَّابٌ وَمُبِيرٌ. That is going to emanate from Thaqif, a liar, and a Mubir, and a person who destroys and kills and sheds the blood of the Muslims. Who is this person that the Prophet ﷺ spoke about, except the Sahaba understood that it was who? Yusuf ibn Hajjaj al-Thaqafi. The fitna of Ibn Ash'ath was between Ibn Ash'ath, and he went out against Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. That fitna was one of the great fitna that took place in Tariq, in history, in which a lot of Ahl Ilm have fell into, in which Allah Ta'ala will forgive them, of course, for their ijtihad that they put forth. But the fitna of Ibn Ash'ath was a fitna that was tremendous. It was basically the same fitna that's taking place these days, in which a person becomes emotional, not submitting to the wahi, in which Allah and His Messenger came with, and letting his emotions override him until he becomes mutahammis. He becomes irritable and emotional to the point where he goes out and tries to overthrow the ruler or the tyrannical ruler. That's to sum up what's the fitna of Ibn Ash'ath. Ibn Ash'ath was from the past one of the people who went out against Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi, as he wanted to kill him due to all the different things that he committed of oppression and injustice, of murdering people. And he murdered the Sahabi, Ibn Zubayr, as we know. And he also killed, they say, 180,000 people, sabran. As we know, Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi killed 180,000 people, sabran, meaning they were not in battle. When you say sabran, you'll find that in books of tariq, they'll say, قُتِلَ فُلَان sabran. What does that mean? Sabran means that he wasn't in jihad. They just murdered him. When you hear the word sabran, there's the books of Tariq or Kutub al-Tawarikh, you'll find they say qutila fulan sabran. That's mentioned. You'll find that if you read books in history. They say qutila fulan sabran. What does that mean? That mean he wasn't in jihad. Everyone understand? So Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. Did I say Yusuf ibn Hajjaj or did I say Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, everyone? Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. If I said Yusuf ibn Hajjaj, is wrong. Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. Afwan. Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi, ya ma'ashar al-ikhwa, killed 180,000 people. Sabran. And he also likewise locked up, as they said, one of the people who released certain people who are masjunun, meaning they, of what we understood to be in prison. 80,000 people were in prison unjustly. And from those, there was women from amongst them, they said in narration, 30,000 were in prison. Women. So this lets you know that how it reached its peak of tyranny and injustice and being a highly tyrannical ruler, or a person who was, under the authority of the ruler. Because Hajjaj ibn Yusuf he was the na'ib. He wasn't the actual ruler. He was under the jurisdiction of Marwan ibn Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. He was actually the na'ib, or they say the vice person who was under his jurisdiction. The reason why I'm mentioning this, ya ma'ashar al-ikhwa, because it lets you know how our religion is based upon submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, regardless of how high the magnitude of injustice that's taken place. It's still binding upon us to always give precedence to what Allah sent down, because that is what's going to suit mankind, regardless of how much injustice took place. Because you see the intense magnitude of what took place of injustice and bloodshed that had took place at the hands of this man, and despite of that, you'll still find that there were people from the ulama Ahl Ilm telling Ibn Ash'ath not to go out and kill him, not to go out and start fitna, and not to go out and arouse and stir up the people's emotions in order to what? Take revenge due to all the different types of injustice that he fell into. Ibn Ash'ath in battle, as he was sent, as actually he was from the army of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. He was from their army. And if you look in Ibn Kathir, and we mentioned Bidayah wa Nihaya, in regards to what happened with Ibn, I don't want to go inside we're talking about Murji'at, and I'm branching off and talking about the history of Ibn Ash'ath. Just to sum up, Ibn Ash'ath was from those that went out against the ruler. As he was sent by Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, and Hajjaj ibn Yusuf used to speak ill to him in a very foul manner, very disrespectful. If you read the story in Ibn Kathir, how he used to speak to Ibn Ash'ath. I used to speak to him in the type of tone and the type of words he used to use. So Ibn Ash'ath, when they was on their way in the battle, they was in the expedition, and in the middle of the road, they started mentioning all the different injustice that took place at the hands of Hajjaj. Just to sum up, until they all voted that all of us are going to go outside of the hands of obedience of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, until he persuaded the army to make him the ruler, and we all remove our hand of obedience from the ruler until we select you as the one who's going to what? Be in charge. Until they snatched his hand, until Ibn Ash'ath removed his hand of obedience to Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, and then as a result of it, Shaitan persuaded them to now be the army to attack Abdul Malik ibn Marwan and Hajjaj ibn Yusuf after they were under their jurisdiction. After he was under his power, they turned back in order to what? Kill Hajjaj. Which came as a result of it numerous people were killed, and a lot of extra bloodshed took place, which shows in the end that revenge and one's emotions are giving precedence to one how he feels and not submitting to what Allah has said. What comes as the result of it ultimately is more what? More trials and tribulations. And that's what happened with Ibn Ash'ath. But anyway, I branched off from Ibn Ash'ath, right? طيب, the bid'ah of irja took place after the fitna of Ibn Ash'ath. After the fitna of Ibn al-Ash'ath, the year of 83 of the Hijrah. Why did they call it irja? What's the reason? It's called irja al-amal. Irja al-amal. Because we know the asl of irja comes from the verb in the Arabic language, ta'khir. Ta'khir, meaning to put something back, to put it behind, or to take it out and remove it. So, irja al-amal, meaning to remove actions or to put it off, to take it out. There's the word irja, like we said, linguistically means ta'khir, means to remove it and put it back, or take it out and put it back. So, the reason why they call it irja is because it's irja al-amal, meaning that actions have been what? Taken out and removed. Because that's their belief. Their belief is what? That actions is not from faith. طيب. So it's irja al-amal an al-Eemaan. طيب. A lot of people don't know who was the first person that actually said this. As we know from the deviant sects, there's always a person who's a what? Mu'assis. There's always a founder of these groups, of these different deviant sects. You'll always find there's a mu'assis, a founder, who actually started it. As we know, the Qadariyah was started by who, everyone? Ma'bad al-Juhani wa Ghailan Dimashqi, right? Or, for example, the Jahmiyyah was started by Ja'd ibn Dirham and also Jahm ibn Safwan. Type, who started irja? Who's the name of the person who started irja? His name was Dhar. They say it was Dhar. That the first person who said the statement of irja, that meaning actions is not from faith, his name was Dhar. Dhar. Like Abu Dhar. Dhar ibn Abdullah al-Marahabi. I think it's al-Marahabi or al-Murahabi. What comes to my mind is al-Marahabi. Al-Hamadani. His name was Dhar ibn Abdullah al-Marahabi al-Hamadani. And I think Abu Bakr al-Ajurri in the Sharia even mentions him and saying he was also the person that started this statement, or started this type of methodology and or started this wicked conviction or this belief. His name was Dhar ibn Abdullah al-Marhabi al-Hamadani. As he died years before, or he died before the 100th year of the Hijrah. He died before the 100th year of the Hijrah. His name was Dhar ibn Abdullah al-Marhabi. 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 Then, as we know, once a deviant sect starts, we know that sect also splits up. As the Prophet ﷺ mentioned and said, that his ummah was going to split into how many sects? 73. All of them are in hell except one. As we talked about before on numerous occasions, that those are the Usool Al-Firaq. Those are the foundations of the deviant sects. Hence, that there are more than that. There are more than that. But those are the Usool Al-Firaq. And when you give da'wah to a non-Muslim, always, some of them will ask you, the first thing they'll say, aren't you a Sunni, right? And you say, yes, I'm Sunni, Salafi. And he'll ask you, why are those names? First, the origin, everyone was upon Islam. Everybody was considered Muslim. Everyone. Started from Prophet Nuh all the way up prophet was first Rasul, who was Nuh. As we know, Adam was also a prophet, but he wasn't a Rasul. Nuh was a Rasul, all the way up to all the prophets in between. All of them were Muslimun, and all of them called themselves what? Muslim. Every single last one of them. طيب. The reason for these names, and you have to be specific, and you have to be clear when you tell them, the reason why we call ourselves Sunni or Salafi Muslim is because all the deviant sects that manifested themselves in our religion. And for the proper Muslims who are upon the correct understanding to be distinguished, we came with these names such as Salafi, Sunni, Salafi, Athari, to make ourselves distinguished from the rest of those other deviant sects that manifested, and all of them ascribe to Islam. All of them openly ascribe to what? Islam. All of them call themselves what? Muslimun. So if a person was to come, how will one be able to distinguish between who is what? Who's upon the incorrect Islam and who's upon the correct Islam if one did not distinguish himself? If we just all called ourselves generally what? Muslimun. So you give da'wah to the people, this is what you have to teach them. The reasons why we started, or these names came about, because it's obligatory upon the Muslim or the Sunni Salafi who treads the correct path and has the correct understanding to always make himself distinguished from between all those other deviant sects that manifested. So that's the reason why we came with these words, Athari, Salafi, Sunni, to the end of it. You understand, everyone? So, as we know, Irja started. Then they broke up into different sects. Right, everyone? Then what came after that was from the bid'ah of Irja. Some of them started saying now that Eemaan or faith is just mere statements. Then came another deviant sect from the Murji'at. They just said that it's just merely a qawl. It's just al-qawl, sufficing by just saying La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah is enough. Meaning that which isn't just mere statements. And that's it. Who was the first person that said this? His name was Hamad ibn Abi Sulaiman. Hamad ibn Abi Sulaiman. You know, he was the Shaykh of Abi Hanifa. He was the Shaykh of Abi Hanifa. Hamad ibn Abi Sulaiman was the Shaykh of Abi Hanifa. Abi Hanifa rahimahullah. Hamad ibn Abi Sulaiman, Shaykh Abi Hanifa. So now we want to gather up that the Murji'ah, that they broke down into three groups. All of them are opposing the statement of Ahl Sunnah and the statement of the Salaf. طيب. For number one, of course, the most famous, everyone, that the Irja breaks down or is based upon three foundations, I meant to say. Irja is based upon three foundations. It's based upon what? Three foundations. The first is that they say that amal, the actions, does not what? Coincide of faith. It's not from faith. And that Eemaan is just tasdeeq. It's just having the conviction. It's the first one. It's all the same one. It's all the same one. That doesn't what? Actions does not coincide of faith. Actions is not from faith, just to make it simple. Actions is not from faith. And that Eemaan is just mere tasdeeq. It's just merely a conviction. Meaning a belief. Also, what is famous upon the tongues of the second foundation is that they claim that Eemaan, faith, does not increase nor does it decrease. And still this day, they still believe this. Especially if upon those who are upon the madhab of the Ahnaf, who practice the madhab of Hanafi, of the Ahnaf, who are upon the madhab al-Hanafi, And the majority of the deviant sects in the Muslim world today who are Hanafi, they practice either. They're upon the they're upon the deviant sect called the Maturidiyyah. The Maturidiyyah. The Maturidiyyah is like the sister of the Asha'ira. It's like the sister, or you could say Shaqiqat al-Asha'ira. The Maturidiyyah is like the sister of the Asha'ira. Basically, it's the same understanding. The Asha'ira and the Maturidiyyah have the same understanding and everything, except that they differ as far as certain characteristics of Allah that they affirm, that the Asha'ira don't. Hence, the Asha'ira and the Maturidiyyah are the same. They might differ in them as far as in some sifat of Allah that the Maturidiyyah affirm, but the Asha'ira don't. But they are the same group. For example, the Maturidiyyah affirm the characteristic called Sifat al-Takween. Sifat al-Takween. As the Asha'ira don't affirm that. Sifat al-Takween means you kawwan or kawwana shay, meaning that it brings something into existence. At any rate, that's not the point. The point is, the Maturidiyyah are the majority of the Muslim world who are upon the madhab of the Ahnaf or Abu Hanifa. The madhab al-Hanafi. The majority of the Maturidiyyah are upon the madhab al-Hanafi. Those who are upon the madhab al-Hanafi these days, all of them, if not majority of them, if not all of them, have the belief of irja. Understand? They have the belief of irja. طيب. So the second foundation is what, everyone? That Eemaan doesn't increase nor decrease. As al-Imam al-Albani, as we'll talk about inshallah, al-Imam al-Albani was the first person to witness this, because we know his father was who? Was Hanafi. So he knew firsthand what they were upon. And al-Imam al-Albani brings evidences and proofs to prove how to this day what they believe is still what we mentioned in here. They believe that Eemaan doesn't decrease or decrease. They believe that actions are not from faith. And the third thing that they believe, the third foundation, is زعمهم أنه لا يجوز الاستثناء في الإيمان. That they claim that it's not permissible to make an exception in faith. What do we mean by that, everyone? As I taught the brothers this last year. To make an exception in faith. I'm going to explain it, don't worry. They say it's not permissible to make an exception in faith. So that's the third foundation. What do we mean make an exception in faith? What do we mean by that? What do we mean by that? It's a whole chapter that Abu Bakr al-Ajurri mentioned Sharia, is to say, when someone's to ask you a question, are you a believer? And you say, yes, I'm a believer, insha'Allah. Insha'Allah. That's making an exception in faith. They say that to say that means that you have doubt. La, that doesn't mean you have doubt. Rather, you're removing the tazkiyah from yourself because you do not know whether or not you have came and fulfilled all the duties and all the actions that you were supposed to say that you were a person that has met the requirements when his faith is complete. Because you don't know whether or not you came up short in your actions. Your actions might be what? Incomplete. And then you're going to testify, give a tazkiyah for yourself. That's the reason why a mu'min would say, if a person was to say this or ask him this question, the question is not supposed to be asked in the first place. But if someone asks, of course, then he would say, insha'Allah. He'll make an exception. Ahl Bid'ah from the Murji'at, they'll say that means you have doubt. No, it doesn't mean I have doubt. It means that I don't know the unseen to know whether or not my actions, I have actually came with the requirement or the actual actions that make me that person that's reached the level of being a mu'min, because a person doesn't know in actuality whether or not he's fulfilled those obligations and has reached those requirements truly reality or not. as a person always knows that he comes up short in certain aspects. As a human being, he comes up short. And to give that tazkiyah, it's like testifying and praising yourself, saying, I've done what I'm supposed to do. I'm a mu'min. You understand? So that's the reason why Ahlul Sunnah says, Ana mu'min insha'Allah, which is called, make an exception in faith. You understand, everyone? Because no one knows whether or not he's come up short in his actions. So, if this is the case, we say Ahlul Sunnah does make an exception. Murji'at, what do they say? It says not yajuz. Yeah, yajuz. It's not permissible. Jayyid. Then after the centuries came, the Murji'at start to break down to different types or different groups. They started to break down to different groups. You had who they call, that's the Karramiyah. Why did they put Kalamiyah? You had the Murji'ah who broke down to different groups. Some who are the Maturidiyah and the Ahnaf and the Asha'ira. And also likewise, we'll talk about the Karramiyah. The Karramiyah. They broke down to different groups. Now, we'll talk about the categories of the Murji'ah. The categories of how they deviated in irja. Number one, those who say that Eemaan, faith is just merely belief. That's it. As we know, the belief of Ahlul Sunnah is what, everyone? Faith is what? Actions, tongue, and what? Belief in the heart. Belief in the heart, actions with the tongue, what? And actions, we said that. Actions with the limbs, belief in the heart, and professing it with the tongue. Jayyid. Again, ahsant, and it also increases and decreases. Jayyid. Al-Eemaan, from them who say that Eemaan is just merely ma'rifah. It's just having knowledge about Allah. This is one of the groups of Murji'ah. They just said it's just mere ma'rifah. Even if acknowledging that truly in one's heart is not been attained. He just having mere knowledge about Allah. That's it. That is, he just knows that Allah exists. It's enough. That is the statement of the Jahmiyyah in reality. And that's more evil. And this is the most evilest of what? Statements. Because this the mushrikeen, we know in the beginning of time, or the mushrikeen believed that Allah what? Exists. If that was the case, then Fir'aun would be a believer. Fir'aun. And the most evilest of people who lived on this earth would be what? Would be a believer. Iblis, likewise. Shaitan himself. Shaitan has knowledge about Allah. And in spite of that, he's upon kufr, and he's mal'oon, matrud. He's been accursed, and he's been expelled from the rahmah of Allah. But he has knowledge of Allah. If that was the case, then Iblis, upon this statement of irja, would necessitate what, everyone? That Iblis is a mu'min. Then you have the second group of the Murji'ah, whom they say, then they switch it. So then you have just having mere knowledge of Allah. Then you have people who say it's tasdeeq. It's to have the conviction of the heart, meaning he has belief in Allah, but he also just he actually does believe and testify it in his heart. And that's it. Meaning there's no statement to it, nor any what? Actions. As we know, this is also a false statement due to the fact that the kuffar used to testify with their hearts. And likewise, during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the Jews and the Christians knew the Prophet ﷺ was a messenger of Allah. They knew it. Their hearts had testified to it. But they didn't want to say it out of their tongue or work by what he does out of arrogance. But they knew it. As Allah Ta'ala says, book, الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابِ يَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُمْ. He said those who we gave the book to, they know him just like they know their own children. So in their hearts they testify to it, but they still refrain from what? Professing it with the tongue and also acting upon it. So that's also what? Not enough for one to just have testification with the heart and acknowledgement with the heart is not enough. As they were kuffar during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, believed that he was a messenger of Allah. And they confessed it and they testified it in their hearts. But they were too arrogant to profess it with the tongue. It was too arrogant. And upon that statement would necessitate that the Yahud and Nasara during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and even these days and times, of those who have true knowledge about the Prophet ﷺ, they actually acknowledge and say he was a prophet and he was a messenger of Allah. No doubt. Does that enter them in the fold of Islam? La. It doesn't. So upon the statement of irja, the second group who say is tasdeeq, and that's it. Tasdeeq meaning acknowledgement with the what? With the what's wrong? Focus, brother. Focus. Focus. Number three. Those who are similar to the Asha'ira. The Asha'ira, of course, we know, who are called al-Karramiyah. Al-Karramiyah. They're similar to the Asha'ira. Al-Karramiyah. Al-Karramiyah. They say that Eemaan is just mere uttering it with the tongue. That's it. The faith is just merely uttering or professing with the tongue, and that's it. Even though you do not believe it in your heart. And all of us know that that's what? Incorrect. Why? Because that's hypocrisy. If that was the case, then the hypocrites would be mu'mineen. The munafiqeen would be mu'mineen. As Allah Ta'ala even spoke about the hal or the condition of the munafiqeen, إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ مُنَافِقُونَ إِذَا جَاءَكَ الْمُنَافِقُونَ قَالُوا نَشْهَدُ إِنَّكَ لَرَسُولُ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ إِنَّكَ لَرَسُولُهُ وَاللَّهُ يَشْهَدُ إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ لَكَاذِبُونَ اتَّخَذُوا عِمَانَهُمْ جُنَّةً فَصَدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Till end of the ayah. Allah Ta'ala says in his book, if the munafiqun come to you, what do they say? We testify that you are indeed the messenger of Allah. Allah knows and has knowledge that you are indeed his messenger. And Allah testifies that the munafiqeen are lying. So the munafiqeen profess it with their tongue, but they do not what? They do not believe it in their heart. That's what Zahir, that's what it appears. That he is from the Karramiyah. But I'm not say for sure. Just keep it the way it is. Just to say that he was for the first to say that what? It's just, Eemaan is just with statements. That he was the one that said that, Hamad ibn Sulaiman. طيب. The fourth group, and this is relatively speaking, and that is the akhaf al-firaq fil irja. Those who are the lightest, considered the lightest groups as far as irja. As far as the irja, they're relatively speaking, they're the lightest as far as irja. Meaning those who say that Eemaan is belief in the heart, testification with the belief in the heart, testification or acknowledgement with the tongue, or professment with the tongue. However, they don't say that actions what? It doesn't coincide with faith. This is the statement of the Murji'at ul-Fuqaha, those scholars that fell into irja. Murji'at ul-Fuqaha. Murji'at al-Fuqaha. طيب, this last point, I'll elaborate on it, then we'll stop, because I don't want to keep giving everyone a lot of information today. Give bit by bit by bit. Now, you'll find from Ahl al-Ilm that now they discuss, is the khilaf, as far as the Murji'at al-Fuqaha, Is there deviance? They say, is it lafzi or haqiqi? Is it lafzi or is it haqiqi? Or you'll find them say, is it lafzi or suri? Is it lafzi or suri? Or you'll find they say lafzi or you'll hear the words. Is it lafzi or haqiqi or lafzi or ma'nawi or lafzi or suri? It means the same thing. Suri, haqiqi, ma'nawi means the same thing. Meaning that, is there irja? Is it just merely in the statement? Is it in their statements? Meaning they believe that, for example, you go to Murji'at ul-Fuqaha, they believe that a person on the day of resurrection, if he doesn't do his actions, then if he doesn't fulfill his duties of salat, zakat, things like that, he's going to the hellfire, he's going to be punished. So that's acknowledgement that actions does have a what? Has a major, tremendous factor on one's faith. But they're not saying it with the tongue. They're not professing it. But they do believe that. So that's lovely. Jayyid. Or is it truly in reality they believe that amal is not from what? From faith. Is it haqiqi? Haqiqi means the true in reality. So is there khilaf, or is it their belief, is it in the words, or is it actual truly in reality they don't believe actions are from faith at all? You understand what I'm saying? So that's the reason why they say, is it lovely or haqiqi? You understand? Is it clear what I'm saying? No, I'm just making sure we understood that point. That I'll talk about next week. It's getting late. It's almost 10 o'clock. That I'll talk about next week. I have to break down the version that's late. I'm sorry, brother. We'll do it later. That's a type of irja. Acknowledging the belief in the heart.
Because he's removing actions, basically. That person's removing actions.
The person that says that, he professes it with his tongue. He acknowledges Islam with his heart. But he's saying that certain actions, I don't have to do it. Even though he's not saying it frankly, but he's saying certain actions, I don't have to do it. Which is a type of irja. It's a type of irja. Al-Fuqaha. We'll stop here inshallah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. تفضل أسد. Turn it off for me. Abu Hanifa. There was others, so he's the main.